Alright, I'm gonna impromptu this. This is right off the cuff. But this is definitely not gonna be a repair video. I'm gonna put it that way. I already got too much of a workload. But I mean, I got one of those philosophical questions. Who owns the responsibility of assigning the mechanic the name that he has, the reputation? You know, you look at the news media, they got scams set up for, you know, seeing these shops will screw over the patron, or is it the patron well, they don't have it the other way around. They don't have the patron screwing over the mechanic. That's one thing I will say. But in this case, because I think the people are the ones who own the responsibility of persuading the mechanic to do the things that he's done, and that's how the reputation got developed, with the mechanic being the person to screw over the patron. Okay, so I say it to say, I deal with a lot of these cases with like other shops, and I understand I'm not perfect by any means. This is my disclaimer. I ain't gonna spend like 5 seconds on that, but you know, we got Jiffy Lube that constantly like screws up vehicles. I mean, I got a couple videos where they didn't change the oil on people's cars. Firestone, where this car originally came from, 2 weeks ago. The video that I did would have put the motor mounts on this vehicle. This is the Honda Accord right here, so it's back for other things that Firestone recommended that he replace. He texted me a few days ago inquiring about, you know, labor charge and parts for replacing not only the brakes, but the calipers, the brake hoses, rotors, and the flush for all 4 axles. So technically I'm supposed to have replaced not 1, 2, 3, but 4 components, if you want to say 5, on each axle. So I would have been flushing the lines, replacing the brake hoses, replacing the brake calipers, rotors and pads for this guy when he has just a complaint of vibration when stopping. Now, I'm not greedy, so there's nothing. I'm not motivated by money per se. But don't get me wrong, I understand having money for the convenience of having a comfortable lifestyle. But I think that's the difference between me and a lot of other people. You know, I got customers that pay the diagnostic fee. I have my customers that treat me well, so I take care of them. And if I do have the time or the expense, I don't mind taking a loss on some days. It seems as though there's been more frequent occurring cases, and I'm just looking at the instances where it screws over somebody, like this job right here. It really leaves a bad taste in my mouth, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other people who are out there trying to do honest work, that, you know, not all mechanics, and especially in most cases the mechanics do the best they can with what they got, of trying to repair the vehicle in the fashion where they don't have to worry about having any comebacks. But here's the problem: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, if there's nothing wrong with it, why should anyone go through waste their time trying to repair something that isn't broke? I mean, I understand about preventative maintenance, but these calipers don't have to be replaced under a regular brake service. This car has 136,000 miles. It's a 2013 Accord. It's not going to need any brake hoses. It's not going to need any calipers. The calipers are not even seized up. Like, why replace them? So, just like the last video where I did the motor mounts, it cost him $1,100. And my prices were significantly cheaper than Firestone. He takes their word. You know, he'll and kind of goes back to something else, like another problem that, you know, a lot of other mechanics have to deal with, being a small business. I'm just a one-man band, but, you know, just like when it comes to conversations, we tend to look at justification for for deeming them the person as a credible source of information. And a lot of times, like whether if you're financially in a sound position, if you sound like you know what you're talking about, if you have a degree or come from a place of some type of authority, then we'll believe you. That's a con artist. That's, you know, I mean, people are easily swindled in that fashion. I mean, just because a woman look good don't mean she gonna treat you good. Put it that way. I mean, she can look pretty all day and be wealthy. I mean, they don't, even with the opposite sex, a guy can sit there and be wealthy. Doesn't mean he's gonna be a good guy. Not at all. But you know, these companies, I mean, I guess because they're a large chain, I've seen people, gosh, man, I've seen one lady I literally got emails of her trying to figure out how she can get over on one of the companies as far as suing to get a motor put in her vehicle. And that's why I say the client done it to the business. I don't think the business done it to the client, but in this case, I can understand how the business takes the responsibility of screwing over the customer and leaving a bad taste in the customer's mouth. However, you know, I don't want to appeal to the second opinion, but at the same time, this guy doesn't need these parts. He just doesn't need them. And and just like the last video, I didn't feel guilty. I mean, he knew what he did. He came with the request to replace the parts, and he didn't need them, so I did it. But today it's just like, you know, it's kind of getting overwhelming. I'm not putting these parts. This job, I did this job not to be in an aimless profession. You know, people go to jobs every day to clock in to feel like they're getting ahead of life, only for their productivity to not reflect their income. At least with mechanic work, I have that ability. Now, I could simply, I mean, we're already like 1,000 into this job here, and I haven't bought nothing yet, and I'm not going to, I'm just not going to screw this guy over. I just don't need the money like that. I got more work than I can handle. I don't need to sit there and be like, oh yeah, you need this, you need that, you need this, and it might be worth going ahead and putting some pads on here, and you know, how about upgrading the pads to a super semi-metallic with, I don't know, Kevlar. I mean, like I'm not going to do that. But yeah, this kind of goes against the grain of what I'm thinking, because again, I think the Patreon did it, but it seemed like the shop did it to themselves on this one. And don't get me wrong, I completely understand the justification as to why a shop may give just an overzealous estimate, something just that's unneeded, unnecessary, just long and drawn out, like as if it's like well, as being a large company, they're easily a victim of being at a potential lawsuit, just like the lady that I've briefly talked about. I'm not, common sense here when it comes to oils, the Dexos compatible oil. Now, she went to this facility with some mild noise, some slight knock going on in her vehicle. They documented it, informed her. They changed the oil with the oil that wasn't compatible with the vehicle, meaning that they put the right viscosity. It still meet the same API standard, SAE standard, but it just didn't have the Dexos compatible oil for the manufacturer. And that's per manufacturer's request. But here's the thing, common sense, as long as it meets the API standard, oil is going to work. There's nothing going to go wrong with normal driving conditions under normal circumstances with using the correct viscosity oil, unless there's some pre-existing conditions. This lady had pre-existing conditions. However, she wasn't satisfied with the fact that she was going to own her own, take personal accountability for her own neglect or her own vehicle. So she wanted to sue the place to get, I would assume, be put back in the same situation. Here's the problem. They offered her a motor because they owned up to the mistake. They say, ma'am, we'll put a motor in there. And I asked her, I said, did they offer to make you whole? Did they say they were going to put a motor in there? Yes, but I declined. That was her mistake. The bitch is stupid. So like, why in the world? You can tell now where I'm going with this, because the client then wanted to push it even further to get some actual physical money, some cash money now. Not just be put in the same situation or even something better with them replacing her engine with not just a used but a remanufactured motor, you know, like a new motor. That's not their responsibility. They just need to put her back in the same spot. The car got 150,000 miles on it. There need to be a 149,999 mile motor in there, you know. But she turned that down, and I asked her, you know, straight up, because I'm just gonna be real with her, because you sue somebody, they're not gonna look at it from an emotional perspective. They're gonna use the best reasoning possible. I mean, I'll give the judicial system that, to say the least, because I did sue someone. But the lady turned that down. She called and emailed me periodically asking for my information, and at one point in time she asked, taking you know, the common sense or logic out of it, I mean, looking at it on my end of things, do you think I got a case? And I said no. It's not be straight up no, but if I had to honestly look at it in her perspective, from an emotional perspective, yes. But then again, all women would have a case from the emotional perspective. In her case, logically, no. From a rational standpoint, no. But you see how the customer easily would want to swindle or get their coming ups off the backs of these large companies. So again, I've experienced more of those cases than this one, but at the same time, you know, cars go in these shops, they go in for alignments, they go in for oil changes. 90% of the time, they go in and they come out in better condition, better shape than when they left. Assuming they don't get screwed over, hell, but I don't work there. I'm just looking at the fact that they go in broken, they come out fixed. Well, driving, allegedly. So, but in this case here, man, you know, they really are pushing my buttons. But you know, what would you do? I mean, would you let the customer line your pockets? I mean, because if he's gonna sit there and double down on what he thinks is needed on a car, then from, you know, a place of authority on their end, because they're a larger company than I am, then I mean, would you just go ahead and replace it, shut up and do it, or would you just like, look, you don't need this? And I told him, I just texted him, I said, look, they're screwing you over, they're ripping you off. But you know, I guess and I got customers that are real adamant about safety of their children and family and stuff, and they can't look on the outside of, well, not having something because somebody put that thought in their ear, that suggestion that you know, it's going to be needed because of vibration. You know, they put the fear in them, fear mongering. I'm not that guy. I'm definitely not that guy. But I'm gonna see if I can just get away with just changing the brakes and rotors, fixing the original complaint, flushing the lines if it needs to be, because I can already assure you that the brake lines can be done from a service interval aspect. But as far as replacing the brake hoses and calipers, you replace them as needed. If they see any cracks in the brake hose up there, you replace it. If you see the calipers getting stuck, you replace it. the guides are worn out, you replace the guide pins and everything. And I'm pretty sure he didn't send the photo of his, he just sent the screenshot of what they recommended he replaced, you know. But even at the things that I listed, around $1,000, you know, it was significantly lower than what they quoted him. So I'm pretty sure it was in the $3,000 price range. And let me just word from the person who works on cars. If you're a customer, don't tell a shop the price. Let them give you their price. It's like a bidding war. Because if somebody tell me, oh, $2,500 is what they're gonna charge, oh shit, oh yeah, well, I'll do it for $2,000. They're gonna bite, you know. So, you know, let people make their own price. Don't tell a person your price. But yeah, this is, I don't know how common this is, and just from the comment section, some of my other videos, as far as Jiffy Lube screwing people over, not changing the oil and stuff. You know, it's one thing to not do the work, but it's another. But no. You know, it's another thing to just overestimate someone, because either way, I mean, even though they're on both sides of the spectrum, one's not getting a replacement part, the other is, but they're just getting a lot of unnecessary parts. They're both pretty bad, but at least you're getting your parts replaced and they look nice and new. But here's the thing, putting aftermarket parts on there, depending on where people get their parts from, can be worse than leaving the OEM old part on there. Ask me how I know. But I gotta get to work. And I think I've been talking for like fucking 20 minutes now as it is. But I will talk all day. Hit that link, subscribe to the channel, stay informed, have that reassurance in my work. See you on the next one.